So Neo-Confucianism is the slight blending of Confucian principles with some of the ideas from Taoism and Buddhism as well. And what we see is when Confucianism returns under the Tang and Song dynasty, it incorporates some of these other ideas. For example, from Buddhism, they adopt some of the Buddhist spirituality and logical thought and incorporate a little bit of that into Confucianism. From Taoism, they incorporate a little bit of the nature of the soul and nature in general into Confucian ideology. And so Neo-Confucianism is going to become the official ideology of the Tang and Song dynasty, and it's going to continue to influence China all the way into the early 20th century. It's also going to come to influence Korea and Vietnam and Japan for the next 5 centuries or more as well. And so with this reassertion of Confucianism also comes a reassertion of patriarchal society and filial piety as well. And so during the Tang dynasty, women's status had slightly improved. Not a great deal, but for example, women could actually divorce their husbands. If the feeling was mutual, they could seek a divorce. But starting in the Song dynasty, and especially the late Song dynasty, the status of women rapidly declines. And we're also going to see, with the reassertion of Confucianism, the support of filial piety. For example, we're going to see laws that allow the beheading of children if they struck their parents in anger. We're going to see laws that allowed children to be punished with 1 to 2 years of hard labor if they struck an older sibling. And so filial piety was reinforced. But we're also going to see a strong reinforcement of patriarchal society. And one of the best/worst examples of this is foot binding. And so first off, foot binding was where they would take young girls, usually starting between the age of 5 or 6, and they would basically wrap their feet very tightly in silk. And as they continued to grow, it would force the foot to grow in this kind of deformed manner where the toes actually kind of curled underneath the foot. And they did this for several reasons, really 3 key reasons. First off, it helped reassert this patriarchal society, because with a woman's foot curled underneath it the way it did, they couldn't walk properly. And so it helped kind of confine women to the home. The second reason this was done was it was seen as a symbol of beauty. Men preferred smaller feet, and it was said that the foot with the toes curled under kind of resembled a lotus flower. And so women did this in order to look more attractive to men and try to get better husbands. And so it was seen as a thing of beauty. And then lastly, this was also kind of a status symbol, because it was mostly only upper class women that could afford to do this to their feet. Because if you were a younger woman, well, you had to be able to help out around the house and perform work around the house. And with your feet deformed in this way, you couldn't walk properly. And so women also did it as a symbol of status as well. And so this is a practice in China that really exemplifies the patriarchal society. This is also a practice that's going to continue in China all the way into the early 20th century.